Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the ability to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host, Mike Lepre, here with my co-host, Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
We are recording this episode 64, a little late this week due to the Memorial Day weekend. We couldn't get together on Memorial Day. So we're recording this on Lou Gehrig's Day. Wednesday is the first, I believe it's the inaugural Lou Gehrig's Day by the MLB, and I believe it is in support of ALS. I believe it is ALS month. So proud to be in support. The MLB is proud to be in support of ALS and all, related problems with the disease and raising money for it and awareness and giving a legend like Lou Gehrig a day is also obviously cool as well. So that's so that's where we're at. We're recording a little late. We're recording on that day. Happy to celebrate it and cool to see all around baseball, the players celebrating it and raising awareness. So with that, let's get into our topic at hand before we get into our news. This week's topic that we decided is related to foreign substance in relation mostly to the pitchers. I'll kind of let Frank kind of give the context around what went into the decision to make this a topic. It has more to do with the Cardinals, and I believe it was Giovanny Gallegos, right? So yeah, I'll let Frank kind of lead us into it, and we'll kind of discuss what the deal is.
Yeah, a few days ago, or last week, I guess at this point, Giovanny Gallegos had his hat taken by the umpires. Joe West was the crew chief, stating that there was an obvious or notable addition or substance on the hat. The idea that it could be a foreign substance. This caused quite a stir, especially with the Cardinals and Mike Shildt. Mike Shilt's big comment was, why now and why this guy? When there's bigger guys, bigger problems, bigger names, and bigger times to do this, why are we doing it right now? Mm-hmm. There was a report when the season started with the Garrett Cole, and that went nowhere. The idea that pitchers use foreign substance is 100% true. The idea that I would say 80% of the pitchers use some sort of something, substance. Absolutely. I would say at least 80% is a guarantee, especially in the National League. Mm-hmm. Let's say a pitcher doesn't want to use batting gloves when he hits, but he puts a little pine tar on his bat. Where do you think his hands are going?
Yeah.
When he's done hitting, he's going right out to the mound. It's not hard.
Yeah.
So the idea of it's foreign substance is this a big problem in baseball? If you're the Negroes and you have a cheese grater and nail filer in your pocket, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you're globbing pine tar or some sort of large amount of substance on a ball, that's a problem.
Sure.
If you're altering the way the ball can spin or move because of the substance, that's a problem. If you have a little tackiness to your hand, that's not a problem. If that was a problem, then why do they have rosin on the back of the mound? Why do the hitters get pine tar? It's to help them control the bat. It's helping them to control their grip, their sweat, their moisture on their hands. So the idea of using pine tar, I think, or even other substance, I think the MLB should make a substance that they're allowed to use. Mm-hmm. Make a pitcher's pine tar. Make a different kind of rosin. A lot of guys like to use, they use some rosin and then they use sunscreen. Guys who use sunscreen all the time. In summer, and you're playing in, Texas or something, and it's 100 degrees out, you can put some sunscreen on. Mm-hmm. They'll use that, a little rosin, and you could come out with this little bit of a lotion kind of sticky tackiness where you can put on your fingers, kind of move around your fingers, and all of a sudden now you got a tackiness to you. Guys use pine tar. Guys put stuff on their hat. Guys put, you see it, and it's Craig Kimball's one of the guys. He has this whole, it's easy. Easy mark. Why don't you just go out there and say, hey, this guy's got something on his hat. He gets thrown out of the game. Well, it's like a thing around baseball. It's like, don't start. Because you say it about my guy, I'll say it about your guy, and all of a sudden we have no pitchers left and we got to go home.
Yeah.
So, sure. I just wanted to bring this topic up because it is a thing that baseball's trying to work on. I just think they should come out with something give them something that's legal. Give them a rosin bag. You got that. Give them here, this is pitcher's pine tar. This is a substance for pitchers to get more tackiness. That's what they should do. Because when it's cold out, let's say it's raining out, whatever's going on, that guy's throwing 105, he already has little less control than you would like. The hitters want him to have more control.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't want to glob a pine tar in the ball where the ball's going to move an extra foot. But you're telling me, Jordan Hicks has a little bit better idea where he's throwing the ball when it's 12 degrees out. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
That's fine with the hitters. That's the concept. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stories of stuff happening. There's obviously even a thing where catchers have it on their leg guards, behind the leg guards and stuff, and they'll get a new ball and they'll get a thing on their finger, a glob of it on the finger, get the ball from the umpire, when they put the ball in their hand, they wipe it, and then throw the ball back there, and then the guy catches it, the pitcher immediately rubs the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now he has a glob of pine tar. Not that he's using the glob, but now he's got a glob of pine tar that he can put in his pocket or put on his glove or put in his hat somewhere.
Yeah.
And now he can always touch it every once in a while. Hey, my fingers are getting a little slick. Let me touch this real quick. Oh, now I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me touch it here real quick. Now I'm good. So there's stuff like that going on no matter what baseball wants to do. As long as the spin rate isn't going crazy, as long as the movement isn't going crazy, as long as it's not affecting it's not natural, but the more natural version of the way the ball is going to move, there's no issue. As long as it's not increasing your velocity by 5-6 miles per hour, as long as nothing competitive advantage, I don't see why they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same concept. And then take pine tar away from the hitter because he's using it to hold onto the bat.
Yeah.
So why doesn't the pitcher get it to use it to hold onto the ball? That's the concept. So, and this has been going on forever. We had spitball back in the day, and the Negros, like we said, Gaylord Perry was nuts with that.
Mm-hmm.
He used to, guys like Billy Martin used to go nuts and go out there and tell him, well, check him here, 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 and they'd never find anything. He's out there touching his hat, he's touching his ears, he's wiping his jersey after every pitch, wiping his hand,
touching everything,
grabbing his belt, touching his legs, everything after each pitch. He's got something, we just can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
We've even seen it. Kenny Rogers in the playoffs.
Yep.
John Lester, that was the booger. That was not a booger. That was the rosin sunscreen kind of mix where you got that greenish, whitish stuff where he gets put on his glove where you can touch it every once in a while. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
You see it with guys like Kimbrel. And we see it with Pineda with the pine tar in his neck. You see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when they think that you get a competitive advantage, it's when they call it out.
Right.
Otherwise, you could really sit down and go, well, he's got it, up, he's got it, up, he's got it, up, he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when people jump around teams. You're Garrett Cole, he pitched with Verlander, he pitched with them guys. You think he doesn't know what they're doing?
Yeah.
They go play the Astros, he can go behind his ear, an inch above his back, the left ear. He's got a little lick of pine tar there. Go touch it. Up, there it is. Up, he's ejected.
Yep.
They know exactly what you're doing.
Yep.
So they really want to, they can call you right out and get you out of there.
Agreed.
I think that's why I wanted to bring this topic up. Obviously, we've seen it. It's something baseball's trying to work on. But I think the end goal here is give them a substance they can use. It doesn't affect the way that the ball's going to move, and just gives them a little bit more tackiness, stickiness, control of the ball, and we're fine.
Yeah, I fully agree with basically, I'd say 100% of what you said, because that's just, if you know baseball, it's kind of the way it is. Yeah, there's instances like with the Pineda or the guys like Gaylord Perry, where it's obvious and you are getting a competitive advantage at that point. But I mean, you could, as a manager, you could go out there 7, 8, 9 out of 10 times and to any random pitcher, even if you don't know if he's using something, and you'd probably be right most of the time. You know what I mean? So yeah, these guys are using something. I wouldn't say that they're cheating in the way of they're getting an extra, like you said, they're getting the extra spin rate. They're getting the extra
Stealing signs.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're definitely not doing that. They're definitely not doing something that egregious. But I think it's just part of baseball. I agree. I think there could be a way to make it so, hey, here's pitcher's pine tar you can use. It's available to at this amount, at this quantity. To each dugout or to each bullpen or whatever.
Put it on the mound.
Yeah.
Put it back in the mound. So then if he uses it, you've seen him use it, everyone gets to use it. It's just like the same rosin bag. I mean, COVID changed it a little bit, but the idea you get the same rosin bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone got the same rosin bag. It just sits there.
Right.
So if he uses it, I use it. Everyone gets to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just give him something that the MLB approves. It's like having certain medicines they approve.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them is considered a performance enhancing. And there's medicines that are approved, and it's on a list. Give them a list. Hey, you can use these things as a pitcher.
Yeah.
If you get caught with this, you obviously get suspended. Fine, you get some sort of suspension. I'm not saying it has to be a crazy suspension unless you're really doctoring the ball up or really changing it, or second, third offense, then you can make some bigger suspensions.
Yeah.
But maybe you give them, 15-game suspension. If you're starting pitcher, that's 3 starts.
Mm-hmm. It's a big deal.
A reliever, maybe you give him 10-game suspension. If it's your second offense, right? You start creeping it up. Unless he's really doing something egregious, where he's filing the ball down.
Yeah.
The knee throws or something. Then you can really go into it. But we don't have really that issue.
No.
And you're not even going to see that, because any ball even gets near the dirt, they throw it away.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they wanted those balls with the scuffs on, because they're going to move more with the way the air hit the scuff in the ball. It's baseball science, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
Pitcher science. But there's definitely something they could do with the foreign substance. It's nothing. It's really just the idea of, let's just get it out in the air and legalize this part of it.
Sure.
Instead of just being hush hush and push under the rug when we all know it's happening. So it's like, oh, that's illegal, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Let's be like, okay, we know it's happening. Let's make this legal and make that. So now it's like, okay, there's no more hiding, or I could just pull out of nowhere. It's a World Series. We're not beating this guy. Oh, well, Craig Grimble, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you got to bring somebody else in. You win. You just won the World Series because you just saved that. Like that could have come down to that.
Agreed.
If I was a pitcher, I was losing to a guy or a manager, I'd call him right out. If it's coming down to the World Series, and that's what it's going to come, I'll call him out. Call my guy out. I'll worry about it later.
Yeah.
It's a weird topic or weird subject. It's just but baseball's working on it. It's one thing baseball's actually working on. I think is doing somewhat right, using spin rate stuff and technology to kind of figure out, are you cheating or are you just using it appropriately?
Yeah. And not for nothing, guys are, I'd say pound for pound, I don't know the exact numbers, but guys are throwing harder. The average guy's throwing harder. I'd say more than average guys have a lot more movement on their ball. Like more pitchers in the league have more spin than in previous years.
Yeah, they know the spin rate technology now, so they can work on that.
Yeah, so, and just the simple fact of those guys being able to control the ball and where it's going, it could obviously, to a degree, it obviously adds an advantage depending on how much you're using it. But just having those guys be able to keep it out of the box and keep it over the plate is a big, God forbid you don't want something happening like what happened to Kevin Pillar. You don't want things like that start to become more, common, God forbid.
Yeah. If it helps you say, okay, 5 out of my 10 pitches, I have a pretty good idea where they're going. I might miss a little, but I have a good idea. If I use a little pine tor and brings it up to 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, the hitters are going to take that. They want to be safe.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they put this face shield on, and so you've seen Stanton with the cage kind of thing and stuff like that. There's a reason why they put that on there. Not because the Major Leagues is mandating it. It's because they want to be safe. They want to be healthy. They have other things going on than playing baseball, believe it or not. They have their own families and stuff like that. They don't want to get smoked in the face and be killed or seriously hurt on the field.
And this is their livelihood. They don't want to have their livelihood taken away because a guy that's throwing 100 doesn't know where the ball's going, so...
And it's not that guy's fault.
No,
he's throwing 100, doesn't know where he's going. Yeah, obviously, there's, you can say he could do this and this. But,
at the end of the day, he didn't mean it. It wasn't like he was like, I'm going to hit this guy in the face now.
Yeah, it comes to the concept of, if they can use pine tar on the bat, why can't I use some sort of substance?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I and like I said before, everyone that, if you're like us and you're a big baseball fan, if you're a relative baseball fan, generally you hear the whispers, you understand that this is what's happening, and people around baseball know what's happening. The players, the coaches, the staff, they know what's going on. It's just, why not just and to your point, why not just make it out in the open? Here's the rule. It's legal to this extent. It's on the mound, whatever you got to do. And guys can feel more safe in the box. And I think that is a big part of it as well. That player safety. And if that's a big thing that the MLB likes to tote a lot, and I think that would be a step forward in player safety.
And the hitters would finally know now what they are using. Instead of being like, well, he might be using this, but he could be using this, but he might be using this substance. Well, he's using this substance.
Right.
Or it's illegal. So it's like, oh, okay, I know what that's,
Yeah, rather than wondering if the guy's got Vaseline on his neck or he's got,
And the majors can go look and be like, okay, well, if this is how the ball is going to move out of this guy's hand using this substance. Well, this is how it loses if he uses an illegal substance. Maybe it spins a little bit more. Now you go, well, let's take a look. This guy might be cheating here, but not cheating here.
Yeah, right.
Then you can really crack down on things.
Yeah, it all makes sense. I don't know how most people feel about that. I think most people would agree with that sentiment, that it should just be out in the open anymore.
As long as you're not going nuts with it.
Yeah, as long as you're not crossing the line. Let's establish the line. Where's it at? And then from there, if you make it legal and you start crossing that line, then we address it, And coaches, and to your point, like, before when you're first making your first point, the coaches will call it out if it's over the line. They're not afraid to. But for the most part, most managers know what's going on. They're going to protect their guys by not going and saying something about the other team's guys.
Yeah, because their guys are doing it, or their hitters are going to get beamed for doing it. It's like it's one of them unwritten rules that we talked about. It's kind of like that concept. It's some sort of unwritten rule.
Right.
It's like, you don't say it about me, I won't say it about you.
Yep.
Unless it's really bad cheating, then obviously then it's kind of like, okay, well, you cheated, I cheated, let's get out of
here. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Maybe, the MLB is looking to introduce a bunch of rules as they usually do anymore. So maybe that would be one of them that I would welcome.
Yeah,
I think we both welcome.
They are working on it.
Yeah.
This is something that baseball's actually doing right. Now
Right.
it's just finally finishing that last step or two to actually finish it off and actually be right and do it right.
Yeah. Get some goodwill with the fans and the players, really.
Yeah, could be a CBA thing coming up.
Yeah.
Which is another topic of ours we just had. So
sure.
All comes together.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good talking point. We'll keep a lookout for that. Fans of the podcast for listening, keep a lookout for that. Could be something that could be on your radar. But let's get into the news, I guess, from there. And the first piece of news that we want to bring up, it's kind of a slow news week. Sometimes it seems like we've had slow news weeks anymore, until I'd say we get into closer to the season with the trade deadline and playoff stuff to talk about. So the topics I have are the newsworthy stuff I have is kind of unfortunate. So the first thing is Marcell Ozuna's arrest. On Saturday, May 29th, Braves outfielder Marcell Ozuna was arrested on charge of aggravated assault, strangulation, and a charge of misdemeanor battery, including family violence. Ozuna is currently on the IL with 2 dislocated fingers and was released from jail Monday after posting $20,000 bail. He is currently facing a possible suspension, or probable suspension at this point, and a possibility of at least a year in jail. That's all coming from CBS Sports. Pretty serious. I believe it's based on the state, too, that he's in. It's pretty serious charges that he's facing. Ozuna already was having a bad year. I know I had him on my fantasy team. Already having a bad year, had the injury. Just things just keeps get worse for him, and me and you are big fans of him as far as his play. As far as this, can't obviously be big fans of this. Considering it was mainly involving his wife, right? I mean, I know you have more.
Yeah,
you have more information on it than me.
I don't want to go into it a bunch here, but it was almost a year to the day that his wife actually got some charges pressed against her for domestic issues, with her actually going after Marcell himself. So there's obviously some back and forth going on here. A guy that I know, a friend of his, actually had Ozuna live with him when he was in spring training last year. So he knew him, and he said he's a great guy. So obviously this is something. Obviously, he's in the wrong big time to do what he did. You kind of wonder what happened to lead you there. So we'll see those details that come out. But hopefully everyone's all right, everything clears up, and everyone can get back to their lives in that situation. But he's in some serious trouble.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. He's a good player, and we've seen it a million times, especially a lot more recent.
Yeah.
With sports cracking down on stuff like this.
Yeah, sure. It's a shame and for all parties involved. Number 2 I got here, part of the news, MLB is being sued. A group representing small businesses sued the MLB and the MLBPA due to the All-Star Game being moved from Atlanta to Colorado. They claim that the MLB violated civil rights laws and, quote, purposely and maliciously decided on punishing small business owners when the All-Star Game was moved. They are seeking $100 million in business damages and $1 billion in punitive damages, all coming from CBS Sports again. This lawsuit could be much ado about nothing. It could also be a lawsuit fueled by trying to get money out of the league, because there's lawsuits that come through just to get a plea or a deal across, and MLB just pays out money, blah blah blah. This is obviously on a bigger stage. This is obviously asking for a lot more money.
Yeah.
It could be much ado about nothing, but that's quite a bit of money, and I know that since they have moved the All-Star Game, there has been a lot of controversy surrounding that, so I just thought that this was kind of relevant to around baseball.
Yeah, I think this is a good move for Atlanta and the Braves, because it seemed like that was quite a move to do instantly, and especially with something that had nothing to do with this team itself. It hurts the city, it hurts the town, the county, the town, the city, state, the team, the players, everything. Especially a brand new stadium they wanted to show off. They can use the money. a stadium that is full capacity. So that's it's good for the game itself. So the idea to move it, I think they should sue, even if it's the idea of we want to just show you and fight against you to set maybe some sort of precedent.
That's a good point.
Where you can't just pull things out of the All-Star game just because something happened. So it should maybe been voted on or something like that by the Players Association and maybe the Players Union and maybe the commissioner and the owners. You can't just pull the plug on something like that. So it's almost kind of setting a precedent, like, hey, even if we don't win right now, remember that.
Right.
So it's a good move by them, and it is a shame that Atlanta's gonna lose a chance to market themselves, the city, and their new stadium, as well as being that Hank Aaron has passed a couple months ago. It was in Atlanta. I thought that was just kind of ironic, and they were going to do a really good thing for Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
Not that Colorado's not. It's just that Atlanta's, the Braves, it's where he played.
Yeah. So. I thought it sucked for Atlanta. I think a lot of the decisions surrounding MLB leaving and then the lawsuit, there's a political backdrop. There's a lot of political arguments. Obviously, it's not a political show. We're not going to get into it. But there is that a lot of people have problems with. So that's another thing to consider here regarding both the MLB's decision and the backlash from it. It's just, political football that gets thrown back and forth. But so it's like I said, it sucks for the people of Georgia in general, people surrounding Georgia area in that south part of the country, because there's not a lot, unless you're in Florida, that's kind of all you got. And it would have been cool. There's probably some people really looking forward to go and see the All-Star game. So I don't necessarily disagree with the lawsuit, but like you said, it could just be setting a precedent and showing that we can go after you too. And it could be simple as that. So it is what it is. I thought it was kind of a bigger talking point, of recent.
Yeah. So some other piece of news here I got quickly. The Diamondbacks and the Mets cleared the benches. I believe it was yesterday after some talk from, I believe it was Rojas and Louisville, the manager for the Diamondbacks, had some words to say. Lindor got into it. Stroman, and things got a little crazy. Benches cleared. Nothing really happened, but it was the idea that tensions were there, kind of out of nowhere. So it could be from the Diamondback struggles and maybe even Lindor's own struggles. So that's a quick note to note. Anytime there's almost a fight or benches clearing, it's always notable, especially when there's more games left to play against each other.
Yeah.
And the last piece of news I have is it's June, and it's time for teams to figure out if they're contenders or if they're pretenders. Are you trading for players? Or are you trading away players? Are you building or are you tooling up? So you're coming to that point where it's really time to start addressing that, figuring out what you are, and then what moves you can do to get to where you want to be. So, take a look at that. We're going to start seeing some trade rumors and trades actually go through now. But the trade deadline is less than 2 months away.
Yeah. Fast approaching. It's weird. I feel like we were just talking about the season getting started and we're already in June. So, not that we're trying to, or feeling like we're rushing the season along, but it goes quick. You got to appreciate it. Yeah. My last little piece of news here before who's doing the best right now kind of just goes into the, who's doing the best right now and the streaky stuff. Orioles were on a big losing streak. After yesterday's win over the Twins, Orioles ended their 14-game losing streak, which was the longest in the MLB since the Astros' 2013 15-game losing streak. While not the worst losing streak in their history, it definitely puts a damper on a season the O's were looking to at least improve after their current rebuild. So it kind of sucks for the O's. They were actually looking, not that they're going to be world beaters or anything, but they were looking okay to start the season. They were looking like they were going to be a pesky team, hover maybe sub 500 team. Got some pieces. I know Trey Mancini's been fantastic since his, I believe he had colon cancer since his return. So there's, Cedric Mullins obviously was going nuts in the first month. So it kind of sucks to see them, 14-game losing streak. That's pitiful at that point. But, it is a team that is rebuilding, and, we kind of expected a lesser season from them. Number 4, kind of the wrap-up. Who's doing the best right now? Currently, the Rays have the best record in the MLB at 35-21, with the White Sox behind them for second best in the AL with a 33-22 record. Over in the NL, the Giants own the best record at 34-21, with the Padres right behind them at 34-22. The Padres own the best run differential in the league at plus 80, while the Pirates own the worst at minus 83. So
Not great.
Rays went on a big run. They had a big winning streak, and I think just overall they've won a bunch, in a short period of time. White Sox are good. Giants still, I don't understand. And the Padres are good. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to throw out some hot and cold teams, but quickly, you mentioned the Giants and how they're doing good. Things are starting to turn. I know they're playing well, but you see Posey in a bit of a struggle. Yastrzemski had a bit of an injury. Belt is hurt. So I think this is a time where you might start seeing the Giants at least come back down to more of a realistic
law of averages.
Yeah. But I don't want to get into that too much right now. But some hot and cold teams that I want to mention. Obviously, you said the Rays, the White Sox, the Royals, playing good. Mariners, Cubs, and Brewers. So some teams there that are all, over the last 10 games, 7-3, 8-2, somewhere in that area.
Yep.
Some cold teams, look at the Orioles. I threw the Yankees on here, even though technically they don't really fit the straight standards that I go by with the hot and cold teams. Because I think they were like 5-5 or so over the last 10.
Sure.
But they did get swept by Detroit. So
Not great.
That's and they didn't look good at all doing it.
No.
So I just want to throw them out there. The Rangers, Pirates, and Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks they're another one. I think they had an 11-game losing streak.
Did they
same
really?
time during the Orioles had their 14.
Jeez.
So they're very struggling quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it's a shame. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, the Yankees, they're kind of, I've been comparing them all season to the Braves. They just can't seem to get it going, and they're a talented team, both of them. I mean, granted, they're not basement dwelling at this point, but they're not living up to expectations, the way to put it. There's quite a few teams that are suspect this year in their performance, like the Giants. The Red Sox are playing, I think, above what I thought they were going to be. Yankees and Braves are underperforming. Dodgers for a while were underperforming. So there's a lot of questions in the league right now, and it makes it a little exciting that it's not just sometimes like, not to call out a certain league, but like the NBA, sometimes you kind of already know who's good, and it just kind of is what it is. At least it's not like that, to this point in the season. You never know, though, as the season goes on. Let's move on to who's hot and who's not. Let's move on to the hot and cold players of the league. My 5 guys, in no particular order. Number 1, who I never thought I'd see on this list at all this season, but Josh Reddick. Had a 500 average in the last week, a 667 slugging, and 1167 OPS. Out of nowhere. I think he's on, the Diamondbacks, if I'm not mistaken. Number 2, Jonathan Scope, had a 455 average over the last week, a 1045 slugging, and a 1584 OPS. Number 3, Yoan Moncada, 435 average, a 609 slugging, and 1144 OPS. Number 4, Pavin Smith, 476 average, 857 slugging, a 1399 OPS. And lastly, I believe he won AL Player of the Month, Marcus Semien, right? Didn't he win Player of the Month? I didn't even know he was doing that well.
Yeah.
Marcus Semien, 429 over the last week with a 667 slugging and 1187 OPS. Again, I had no idea he was doing that good.
Yeah, he's been doing good.
Yeah, so
He's betting on himself, and it's working.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise there how talented he was with the A's. So I can't say I'm exactly surprised at the production.
Yeah. Some guys, a couple guys here just to throw out for the hot hitters. Hunter Renfroe, over 400 recently, and Austin Meadows, doing well. So those 2 other guys I want to throw out there. And then some pitchers I like to throw out there. Alex Cobb, if he had 7 shutout innings the other day.
Weird.
Yeah, he's been kind of weird for them, but pitched good last start. Shane Bieber pitching very, very well. Jose Barrios pitching good. Zach Greinke, Liam Hendricks, and Craig Kimbrell. Some guys who are, for the most part, doing well through the season, but especially of late.
Yeah, I think Liam Hendricks won reliever of the month for the AL, if I'm not mistaken, too. So that makes sense. So then move on to the cold guys here. We got, again, no particular order, but number 1, Jared Kelenic. Goose egg, as far as average and slugging, a 160 OPS over the last week. He's 0 for his last 21. Right behind him, Miguel Sano, again, 0 average, 0 slugging, a .053 OPS, so even worse OPS. He's 0 for his last 18. Number 3, Brendan Rodgers, 0.53 average over the last week with an 0.53 slugging and a 234 OPS. Number 4, Yerman Mercedes, 0.087 average over the last week, 217 slugging and a 410 OPS. And number 5, Robbie Grossman, a 100 average, 250 slugging and a 500 OPS over the last week. Kelenic, I'm outstandingly surprised. Not that not that I'm gonna raise a red flag on the guy as far as his career, but I'm just surprised coming out of the gate cold. He's a very talented guy. Got a lot of potential. I think he'll be overall just fine, but it's just a little surprising, Yeah. So that's my biggest surprise out of this list. Really, is Kalanick.
Yeah. Some other guys to throw out there. For the most part, I think I have some of the guys you had here, but Bogart's struggling of late. Freddie Freeman, Brendan Rodgers, who's been quite a disappointment in his career for the Rockies.
Yeah.
As a top prospect in all of baseball for a while there. He has been, in his multiple stints in the majors, been bad, and then injury prone.
Sure.
And Miguel Cabrera still struggling this year, but he was batting under 200 still.
Yeah.
And struggling of late. Is there a Pujols situation about to happen over there in Detroit? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I saw some multiple articles written about that. Is he the next one to have that happen? So it's not we're not the only ones thinking it.
Yeah. So some pitchers. Max Fried struggled. He was pitching pretty good off the IL, but last start he got beat up pretty good. Eduardo Rodriguez getting hit around. Alex Wood was pitching great. His last 2 starts, I think he got 4 earned 2 starts ago and 7 earned over 3 innings the other day. Matthew Boyd struggling, and Bumgarner, who got beat up again today by the Mets. So there's some pitchers there who are on the cold side, given the snowflake next to your name.
Yeah.
To go into our next thing, we go to the injury list.
Oh my God.
This just grows and grows and grows. I try not to get into the same guys all the time, but I try keeping it to the bigger names or the more impact guys, but it seems like it grows and it gets worse every time. So we'll start off with Kluber on the IL. Expected to miss some time. Voit on the IL. Zach Plesac. Great story there, how he got hurt. Terrible to get hurt, but how he got hurt, aggressively taking off his shirt.
Unbelievable.
That's impressive. I don't know why you wouldn't just lie if you hurt yourself doing that. I tripped and banged it on the doorknob or something.
I know.
All right.
Yeah.
Or a dog pushed me down or something. All right. No, I was taking my shirt off and I aggressively, make sure you put that in there.
Yeah.
And I hurt it. Okay.
Yeah. I just don't understand the PR decision there.
Yeah. Mitch Garver, a foul tip to a groin, ended up getting surgery. Not sure how long he's gonna be out.
Oof.
Ramon Laureano.
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis tore meniscus in the same knee that he had the bone bruise in. That's a shame. He was just playing well. Michael Brantley on the IL. Mike Soroka, done for the year. He had another cleanup surgery on his Achilles the other day.
Oh.
Not the Achilles surgery that he got the first time, but another small procedure in the Achilles. They're saying he's not going to be back this year, and they're ramping up for next year.
I had no idea.
Miguel Rojas, small fracture in his finger, I believe. Noah Syndergaard shut down for 6 weeks before he could touch a baseball again, so a good chance you're not seeing him till maybe September.
Yeah.
Bet's tough news for the Mets. Will Harris, thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. He's already 37 years old.
Yeah.
He's getting the surgery, so he's done for this year. Definitely could be a career-ending one for him. Roman Quinn, ruptured Achilles.
Yep.
Lorenzo Cain recently placed in the IL with a leg injury. Terrible news for Jack Flaherty. Hurt his oblique swinging a bat the other day. He was 8-1, 2.9 ERA. They're saying it's a pretty good strain. It could even be a small tear, so I expect him to be sidelined for quite a while. Lance McCullers, who's having a great year, another one placed on the IL. Trevor Williams, emergency appendectomy, expected to be gone, I think, 8 to 12 weeks, I believe.
Oh, wow.
I remember I'm done getting that. In 2011, the year he batted 159, having fantasy. He started that year off pretty good, Adam Dunn. And he got emergency appendectomy. And he came back, he only missed a week.
What?
Yeah, it was about a week to week and a half. And
Holy
he came back and struggled. And struggled the rest of that year. And I think that might have had a reason why. He came back from that surgery very quickly.
Well, I'll say.
So obviously some situations differ. Emergency appendectomy, maybe if this happens, it could change the way you need to get done, or how long you could be out, or something, especially as a pitcher. So obviously every situation is different, but I believe they said he's supposed to be out for quite some time.
Wow.
Maybe not. Maybe it was rejoin the team in 12 weeks, like be back in the majors in 12 weeks. That'd be a little bit more sense, but
sure.
Yastrzemski left the game, and Tatis was day to day again. Every day,
sure.
every week, day to day. So those your guys who are hurt. On the good side of things, again, we seem to have a lot of similar names here. George Springer ran the bases. We have Chris Sale said he feels like a pitcher again. First time in a while, he said. Stanton activated. Adalberto Mondesi finally activated and actually came off the IL swinging a decent bat here.
Yeah, good for him.
Jesus Luzardo, another one, he had the video game, hit his hand on something, playing a video game.
Yeah.
He's back, pitched well the other day. The Mets in total, for the most part, are kind of getting healthy. Pilar, Alonso, guys like that. But then you had Villar lead the game early again today. J.D. Davis is a rehab shutdown. Noah Syndergaard's rehab shutdown. Carlos Carrasco's never coming back. Seems like Lugo came back, though. So the Mets are kind of, for the most part, are getting more healthy before they get, more hurt. JT Realmuto's back. Brian Hayes is on his rehab assignment. He'll be back shortly.
Good.
Joey Votto cleared to begin rehab. Cody Bellinger's back. And Zach Allen through bullpen sessions, and he feels pretty good. So this is some pretty big names to look at to say, hey, at least we're getting some guys back and back in action and going to see some big names.
Mm-hmm. And Colin Moran on a rehab assignment, my fantasy team.
There you go. I didn't have him on here as I didn't think the Pirates had much impact here. But Colin Moran, a good player, and you never know, maybe he gets traded to a team that needs a first baseman, a lefty first baseman.
Who could that be? Maybe that team in New York?
Can't, no, because then you got to shave his beard, and you don't need that.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But, they delivered Odor, so you never know. But
yeah.
There's some other guys. Even Trout got out of his walking boot with the calf strain, but that's still some time away.
Sure.
There's a million guys you can go into here, but I just wanted to narrow it down to a bunch of big names here and some likable guys. So that's your list. Like it or not like it, that's just it. So.
Yeah, no, it's never good to see a list like that with the IL. It seems like it's commonplace anymore to have a big IL list. So
yeah,
it's a shame.
But yeah, to go into our last bit here, it's our trivia question. Here's a good one.
It is.
So, the trivia question for the week is, who was the first reliever to win a Cy Young? And this is goes along with some current news. But the answer is Mike Marshall, also known as Iron Mike. The reason I use this is because he just recently passed away a few days ago at 78 years old, unfortunately. But he was the first relief pitcher to win Cy Young. And that was in 1974 for the Dodgers. And I have his stats here. He was 15-12, 2.42 ERA, 21 saves. Pretty good year right there.
Yeah.
The fact that he had 15 wins and 12 losses, it's a lot of decisions. That means he came into a lot of close or tie games.
Mm-hmm.
But then these next stats, these are all major league records. He had 106 appearances. In 1974, I believe they're playing, 162 at that point? 106 appearances out of 162 games. He had 208 and a third innings pitched as a reliever. We don't even get 200 innings out of most starting pitchers anymore.
I know.
That was as a reliever. He had 83 games finished, and he pitched on 13 consecutive games. Those are all major league records.
It's video game numbers.
Yeah. So that's why he won Cy Young that year.
Yeah, I'll say.
And a last little tidbit, which is an awesome story. It wraps it all in one. His main pitch, his go-to pitch, his breaking ball pitch, his out pitch, whatever you want to call it, was a screwball, which we don't see much in this league. Devin Williams, they say, kind of has one. Brent Honeywell, they say, somewhat has one. But oddly enough, Honeywell learned that pitch from his dad. Honeywell's dad is cousins with Mike Marshall.
Small world.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So to bring us all back to it, the trivia question, the first relief pitcher to win a Cy Young was Iron Mike Marshall in 1974. And unfortunately, he just passed away a few days ago at 78. But I just wanted to use that as a trivia question because of the recent, unfortunate news.
Yeah, I had no idea until I remembered that I did see an article just in doing the news for the episode. I did see that he passed. Unfortunate. That's a ridiculous year. That kind of year will never be replicated again, I don't think, or at least in modern baseball standards.
Yeah, I mean, you might see the appearances because guys come in for the one game or one out, or not quite much for the one out anymore because of the three batter thing. But they come in quickly and then they get the out and then they go on and they can pitch a bunch of days in a row.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
So maybe, I don't know about the 13 consecutive days pitched. I would doubt it. Maybe if they went back to being able to pitch to one batter, I could see that definitely at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, at that point maybe, or the 106 appearances I could maybe see if they went back to the one out, because then you get a lefty, Jerry Blevins comes in, boom, lefty, boom, lefty, boom, and then he only pitches to that one lefty and then's out, maybe.
Yeah.
But
sure.
the odds are I don't see them getting broken. But
no,
if that's your only way, 208 and a third innings pitched out of a relief pitcher is.
I think that's impossible anymore.
I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Even if you're like the guy who comes in after the opener, and you pitch 4 innings. Mm-hmm. You'd have to do that all. Even then, you'd have to do it so many times. 208 and a third. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And 83 games finished.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
That's not saying he saves, but he got the last out in 83 games. That's pretty impressive.
More than half of the games he finished a game. I mean, that's he got used to that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's touching the field almost more than position players, 106 times.
I know.
It's incredible.
It really is.
Touches the field more than guys like Aaron Judge.
Oh.
Or Tatis at this point.
Yeah.
Or guys like that who just get hurt all the time.
Yeah.
106 times.
I know.
So I believe it was a 162-game season at that time. If not, it's 156 games, which is even more impressive.
Well, it should have been because they switched over to the 162 because of the controversy with Maris, right? Wasn't it 61 that they switched over?
Yeah.
Right. So it should have been implemented.
That's what I'm saying. So it should be 162
yep.
games. So I mean that's like 80% of the season. 75% of the season he pitched.
It's a bygone era of baseball. That's all you can say. It's almost 50 years ago now. So, rest in peace to him. It's a shame that he passed. 78's still too young. But that's a forever stat, in my opinion. That'll be in the record books forever.
Yeah,
so.
and Iron Mike.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wonder how many people, if they didn't see that article, or even if you did see it, I wonder how many people really even knew that. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll put up the trivia question pretty soon. But that's kind of all I got for this episode. Like I said, kind of light news week. Not really, injury list grows, which is unfortunate. Batters still seem behind, which seems to be a theme in baseball anymore.
That's just baseball now. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of all I got. I don't know if you got anything you want to add or finish with.
No, just Memorial Day just passed, so hope everybody enjoyed that. It is delayed because Memorial Day we couldn't quite get together. We're in June, so we're in the warm days. We're going to hope to go to a couple baseball games. We'll see what happens. And Father's Day coming.
Yeah.
2 weeks away, so enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's all I got too. So I guess with that we'll wrap it up. All right, thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Google Podcasts as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod, no E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.